Hello, my friend. So I wanted to do something a little bit different today and do a bit more of an unscripted, unedited, just straight talking video today. Something that's just a little bit different from what I normally do. And if this is the first you're seeing of me and you like, self-development, self-improvement style content, productivity type things, then go ahead and check out my channel because there might be a couple videos that are more palatable on there that you might want to watch if you're not interested in just watching a guy straight up ramble onto the camera for 10 to 15 minutes, which is probably what I'm just about to do. So you go ahead and check those out, and you can come back to this later if you want to. Or, of course, you can just stick with me through this if you're actually ready to have a bit of a conversation with me, which I hope you'll do, but I realize that you might not be in the mood for that right now, so totally understood. But I think that it's really important that I talk unscripted to the camera from time to time because I think on YouTube and a lot today when you're watching content and when you're interacting, so to speak, with a content creator, a lot of it isn't very conversational anymore. It's very one-sided. It's kind of artificial, and it's kind of like this TV type thing. And I think that YouTube and social media that is content-based, such as YouTube, should not be this type of reflection of TV, which I think is what a lot of it has become. It's just a TV series. There's a lot less of this feeling of genuineness and of human connection. And I think we should realize that, humans crave human connection. That's how things have been done for so long before technology. And of course, I'm not trying to just straight up put up an appeal to tradition fallacy, but at the same time, I think it's something that's extremely beneficial for us mentally, and it's something that makes us feel also very alive when we have truly deep and fortified connections and genuine relationships with people, even if that is a content creator through the screen. I think in the bounds of technology, that's something that is an advancement, and that you still can have a genuine connection with a content creator through the camera. And I aim to have that with you, my viewer, and that's something that I hope to pride myself on in the future. Of course, I'm not sure. I really don't know exactly how this is going to work out, and I hope that this is conversational between me and the camera and between me and you. But maybe the screen doesn't actually carry it out all that well. I'm not sure, because I do feel like I'm talking to a person right now, and I am talking to you right now. But regardless, I just wanted to talk a little bit about something that I think we all deal with. And if you're watching this type of content, then most likely you're pursuing some type of goal, some type of self-improvement or something or other, but you have larger aspirations of some sort than what we would consider to be the general population. But I think something that we often forget about when we're pursuing these types of things is to balance out what we're pursuing and also our net benefit and enjoyment. And I realize that the term enjoyment and value is pretty vague, and it's going to be different for most people. But at the same time, realize just logically, if you think about this for a second, that if you're not getting a net benefit out of something that you're doing, then by definition, you should not be doing it. Because I know this might sound like a weird philosophical thing, but by definition, if we're not getting a net benefit out of what we're doing, you obviously shouldn't be doing it. And what we're all aiming for is a net benefit by definition. We're trying to make our lives as good as possible, so to speak, and reduce the bad as much as possible. That is what a net benefit is. But not getting to that tangent too much, today I wanted to talk a little bit more about family and why it's so important, and why sometimes we might forget a little bit about where we came from and where we're going, and to keep those elements of family alive even all the way through your journey, and with in mind that you're trying to develop and aspire to new levels constantly in your journey of self-improvement and of human development. But at the same time, you must keep in touch with where you started. So I think, growing up, we obviously have this perception of that our parents are always going to be around, and that our family is something that is constant, and it's kind of something that is even a little bit suffocating at times. And I totally understand that, because we all feel the same way. It's very normal to feel suffocated by your family throughout your early years, because you're just around them all the time, every day. And I think once you start to grow a little bit and you get out of your early years, you start to realize that you gain a little bit of freedom where you can actually pursue the goals that you want to pursue. And your parents, to be completely nice to them, but your parents are kind of no longer in the way, so to speak, because you have the freedom to pursue what you want to pursue. And that's a great thing. You should be able to pursue what you want to pursue. But at the same time, it's we often forget, and I want to actually, before I go on any further there, but I actually want to explain that I think there's something very special to be found in in relationships with family that you can't necessarily find elsewhere. And I know a lot of people disagree with this. And there's an old saying that goes, blood is thicker than water. And then because of that, there's also a rebound statement that has become more popular lately that has come that has kind of clarified that statement, which typically blood is thicker than water refers to the fact that a relationship with family means more than one that isn't with family, because blood is thicker or whatever. That new saying is the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb, which actually flips that statement on its head and says that the relationships that you intentionally choose to be a part of that are not your family, that may not have been guaranteed onto you from your genetics and from your family and your ancestral line, might actually be stronger than those that do come from those places. However, I do personally think that there is something special to be found in blood, and I know for some people it's not realistic to pursue that. But at the same time, I think that for a lot of people that's over exaggerated, and there actually is a lot you can do with your family. But I just think that from time to time we might begin to forget where we came from, and it's obviously very normal, like I just said, that when we start developing and getting a little later, that we forget where we came from, and our parents, kind of take the back burner, and we just assume that they're going to be around forever. And even I'm not even talking about when you get much older, and I'm not in my 30s or 40s, but when you get, presume when you get to that point, obviously you have the perception of your own parents' mortality, for example, assuming you haven't gone through any tragedies and they were taken from you early or something like that. But even then, it's kind of this thing where you forget to nurture your relationships with them, and you still kind of take them as a given. But I think it's really important to note that it might not necessarily be a given. So microphone issues, so much for one straight shot. But regardless, hopefully that one jump cut will be the only interruption here. But it looks like I was just getting started and talking about family. But it makes total sense that there will be periods where things aren't perfect. But the fact is, and what I'm trying to just say, and I don't have any huge logical argument to make here, or any large structural videos. Obviously, my scripted videos are for that. I'm just trying to share a little bit of advice that I do personally think is useful, and that you really should be trying just from time to time. And it's important to make an effort just to make sure that your familial relationships are as strong as they can be. Now, my family wasn't always perfect growing up, but the fact is that I've been extremely fortunate my whole life, and I have an extremely supportive family now, and I really I cannot possibly ask for anything more from the state that my family is currently in, because it's just excellent, and I try and do my best. And from my own perception, I have a very good relationship with my parents, with my siblings, with those family members who I wish to carry on positive relationships with, but it wasn't always that way. And, I realized that there's still more that I could do, and that it's, totally normal to always be striving for more and to feel like you maybe, could give more to your relationships. But the fact is, and the constant should be, that you are trying and that you are constantly putting in effort and just realizing and never taking for granted the value that you have within your family. Now, I'm going to take a bit more of the opposite route here and talk about the other side of things. And that is that I realize that some people might not be so fortunate. And I know that the common advice is actually that often that family is not the most important thing. And that if your family is toxic to you in some way, or that they are not conducive in some way to your health and your happiness, then you should essentially cut them off, and that you should pretty much just do what is best for yourself. And don't get me wrong, there's obviously, nothing wrong with that advice inherently, because the truth is that you really have no need, even if it's your family, you really have no need to be around individuals who are actively harming your wellness and who are actively not helping your life in any significant way. And I realize that there are families that are really, really fucked up. And I know that not everybody is so fortunate to be able to have a family like my family, where all the problems can sort of resolve themselves, and you can kind of live in this really just exceptional family where everyone understands each other, and it's just a really nice place to be. Not everyone is so fortunate to have that typical household family experience, and I totally accept that. However, I think it's important to note that this effect is often exaggerated for some people. And though I realize, and this might even be you, and I might not be speaking to you, so you're obviously free to think for yourself, and I think it's up to you to decide what your situation actually is, and you should just be critical of it. That's all that I'm saying. But for a lot of people, there actually is a lot you can do with your family. And even if things aren't perfect, there's often a lot you can do And I think you do still have a moral responsibility to your blood and an ethical responsibility to do what you can with what is your blood, even if maybe you can't ever get that perfect. And again, I'm not talking about perfect in the sense of actual perfect. I'm talking about perfect in the sense of the perfect situation, which would be that you have a happy, functional family. But I realize that not everybody can get there, and that not everybody might not necessarily be able to achieve any level of that. And some families are just straight up dysfunctional because you can't control everybody. No matter, even if you got into self-improvement or whatnot, and you have large goals for yourself, there might be nothing you can do for your family if your family is just in a very, very bad place and they're not like you, so to speak. And you've been kind of the one to break the cycle, so to speak, which, props to you. And I realize that this might not be representative of everyone. However, when people really are in those truly bad situations that are truly unsalvageable, I think that's all the more reason to realize and try really hard before you jump to that conclusion that you might not be there, and to realize that you should do the best with what you have, and to be grateful for your family if you're not to that extreme, because there are people that are to that extreme who are not going to be able to make good relationships with their family, or to rekindle that fire and reconnect those bridges, which I think is just a really sad situation to be in. But at the same time, it could be seen as inspiring for both for those, even for those in that extreme, that they have the power and that they are the ones to break that cycle, and that they truly can hopefully create a better family in the future. Or maybe they're not choosing to have kids, but that's an entirely different thing. But also, if you're not in that situation, that you are extremely fortunate to have a family, and that you have the potential to strengthen your relationships over time with your family. So this really is something that's important. It's something you should pay attention to, because you start to get more into the meat of life and get a bit more enjoyment. And I know it's cliche, and I know people repeat it a lot, but a level of it really, really is actually true. And of course, there's an extreme to the point where it isn't true. And you really should feel content with your contribution to human society as a whole. But at the same time, your contribution to human society can be largely affected by your family. And personally, myself, I feel really satisfied and really happy with how my family is. And I really hope that one day I can have an even bigger family, and to use my family. And that's the other thing that I actually forgot to mention. And that is that family can act as a vehicle for so much good because it's so strong. And of course, family has, historically and obviously, familial relationships are often used for negative purposes, but in that same way, because they're so strong, you have a power with family, and you have a power when you strengthen that relationship and strengthen that bond to create so much good in the world and in a community with the power of family, because it's just so strong. And I really hope that I can do that type of thing in the future, and I can have my own happy family in the future that is in some way conducive to what I and my family consider to be valuable. But of course, that's a different topic. So, again, just as far as a few actionable steps, because I always like to give at least a few solid things that aren't completely theoretical. But, and of course, this totally depends on what age you are, where exactly you are, and your exact circumstances. But, you should be giving your siblings a call every once in a while. You should try and give your parents a call every once in a while. And it's not only the act of doing those things, but when you find yourself in situations, whether in those calls or in any other, maybe a forced commitment where you don't have a choice but to attend with your family and with other people, siblings or, anything else, where you should really try and foster a level of just attention. Because again, we often take it for granted, and we often just think, oh, it's whatever, and we don't really need to, they're just there and you can just talk to them. And that might be natural, and that might be what you are inclined to do because it's what you've done your whole life, most likely, if you grew up with these people. Excuse me. But at the same time, you can get so much deeper, and you can enhance these relationships and really just level them up so far if you just pay a little bit more attention when you're actually going through your daily relationships with the people, with these people. And again, these are habits long term, and these are things that often need to happen for a very long time before you see a benefit. But you really should just slowly try and put these seeds in of just very little things, just showing more interest to something that they're talking about, just treating them like for example, when you're looking for a partner, a romantic partner, and you're on a date or something like that, and you're interacting with someone, you don't just stop paying attention to them. Like, you're not going to be like, whatever. Like, what would happen if you did that with when you were trying to woo a partner? Like, that would be terrible relationship building. Your date would be over. You would not get a second date. And like the bare minimum when you're looking for a romantic partner is to at least show interest to the person or whatever. But I think it's something that needs to be maintained over time. And of course, I'm drawing a parallel that might not necessarily be perfect, but you really should aim for that level of relationship building, even in relationships that you already have, because you can enhance them and you actually have the power to level them up beyond what some people even imagine is possible. And in that, I think, and that's what I'm trying to get at, in that you actually find a lot more fulfillment and a lot of really deep, genuine connection with people that you really didn't even know was possible. And I think once you experience that, there really is no going back, and it's very, very beautiful. So I hope that was just something that could give you a little bit of value today. Hope I didn't ramble on too much. I mean, if you've made it this far, then I guess you got something out of it. But yeah, let me know if you want to see any more of these more unscripted style talking videos. I mean, truthfully speaking, obviously, this isn't going to get a lot of views or have, as much retention as my regular edited videos and slightly more scripted and structured videos. And I totally get that. But I do just like talking to my viewers from time to time in a little bit more of this genuine style where I actually speaking to you and I'm actually just saying my thoughts to you and, getting some feedback, hopefully in the comments, and we can have a little bit of a conversation. But take care of your mind, especially when you don't feel like it.